morning, everyone. For those that do not know me, I'm Flavio Borgiato, head of LATAM sales at Citi, and it's a great pleasure today that we are hosting the Alsea Day here at City office in this beautiful day in Tribeca. You know, Tribeca, cool place, good restaurants, expensive housing, but hey, here we are. Anyways, thanks thanks to all the Alsea management that are here today. And thanks for our consumer analyst, Sergio Matsumoto, for pushing this to get done. We have a great program ahead of us today, and I'll pass the word to Salvador Villaseñor, Alsea Investor Relation Officer. Thank you.
Thank you, Flavio. Hi. Hello, everyone. Thank you for coming. First of all, I would like to thank Citi for hosting the event as well. And it's been a while since we've been in presence, so it's glad to be here and hosting this event as well. Today we will have presentations. Who wants to click?
Okay. Over there.
Thank you very much. Today we will have presentations from our CEO and broader management team. One of the things that we want to introduce you is the quality of our management team that we have behind the people that you often see in meetings. So we will have presentations from our CEO, Armando Torrado, from Pablo De Brito, our Commercial and Business Development Director, Cory Guajardo, Human Resources Director, Miguel Cabaza, Supply Chain Director, José Luis Portela, CEO of Alsea Europe, Rafael Contreras, our CFO, and finally, Alberto Torrado is going to give some comments, our chairman, giving some comments in the end before we enter Q&A. Before starting up with the presentations, I would like to start off with a video of what we are, what Alsea is.
When Pedro grows up, he'll be a renowned chef. Anna will be a chemist in food science. And Max, an environmental engineer. This tiny seed will be a part of a wonderful forest. This path will become a highway. And very soon, this small bird will learn to fly. The future is our responsibility. We build it with each idea, with each dream, and with each choice. At Alsea, we choose to continue developing our brands and consolidating our leadership in every market and segment where we have presence. Being the best place to work, developing the talent of our people in an atmosphere of quality, inclusion, and safeness. Becoming an increasingly efficient operation in our supply chain and making our decisions based on business intelligence, innovation, and technology. We choose to drive our growth strategy with sustainable facilities and efficient processes to continue supporting our communities through productive projects, education and employment opportunities, and to continue with our efforts against food poverty. But above all, we choose to be where, when, and how our customers need us most. Be there as a craving, during a celebration, a family dining, a business brunch, or simply enjoying a get-together with friends. For us, being able to bring happiness and experiences full of flavor is choosing to do all within our reach so that each challenge becomes a dream come true. Each dream, the reason that gets us up in the morning, and each morning, the opportunity to build a better future.
Okay, now I'll leave you with Armando Torrado.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. Hi. Thanks for coming. Thanks for joining us this morning. I think it's going to be, you're going to see some new things that I hope you like it. And thanks for all the people that is also connected online. We are very pleased to be here and excited to present you what will be the future of Alsea. Thanks for Citigroup. Thanks for Sergio and all the group for hosting us here this morning. Thank you all. And today I'm going to talk about the prominent future and the opportunities that we have and that Alsea has ahead. Some of the topics that I will cover in this conversation this morning will be the key strategy for the company, the business model that we are deeply going through, our Alsea culture, and then some growth opportunities that we have ahead. And why not? I'll say Rafa will give a financial update of the company, and later on, I'm going to present you how we're doing a little bit to week 12 of that. We are 1 week away to finalize the quarter, so I'm going to give you a little bit update how we're doing. First, I am honored also to have here a part of my leadership team. They will give a deep dive, a little bit deep dive in the 4 pillars that I think are more important in the company. And I want you to hear from them what are those 4 pillars, how we're going to do a double click and a deep dive in those one. First, let me present myself. I know some of you, then no, not everybody, but I'm Armando Torrado. I'm 53 years old. I've been working in this company since I'm 19 years old. So I've been most of my life here, almost 33 years in this company. I'm married. We have 4 daughters. I started with Domino's Pizza long time ago in the corporate stores, working there like around 7 years. Then I was a CEO for Domino's for around 7 years more. And then as soon as we make this company public, I went to development, store development, where I really were there 5 years, knowing the whole niche of Mexico, all the cities. We were open 95 stores a year in Domino's. So that was a big walk around from all the cities, all the streets. So I really have a knowledge of the country that I am from. Then I became the CEO for the casual division. I was starting with a casual division where we brought Chili's, our first brand for casual. I was there for 5 years, joining and bringing some other brands of casual dining. And then when I was appointed, I was appointed CEO in July of last year. Before I was in international for 4 years. I was running first Latin America, and then I managed the whole area, including Europe, for 5 years. So first of all, I'm very pleased to and the honor to lead this company. I feel this is of course my house, your house. I know the company very well, deeply, being in several positions in the support center and being managing some brands. It gives me a little bit good knowledge of what we need in both sides as a company. As a company, it's giving me a much broader perspective of the needs and an opportunity that this company has. Since July that I started, I put a plan and I said, let's roll out, let's go. I make a plan, said, let's go to 100 stores in 100 days. I did that challenge. It was possible. I went to all geographies. I went to most of the brands, of the stores. And the only good word that I saw was opportunity. Opportunity in all the cases. And I saw a big energy team, thankful for the past 18 months that we had before that it was closing stores, some bad situation in our segment. But everybody that I went to store was just thankful for giving the work. Thanks for having us here. Thanks for letting us be part of this journey. And in all the stores that we saw and all the brands was an opportunity moment. So I'm pleased that now that we are coming back, that is the road is ahead for a nice future. Just to tell you that we have the team and we have excellent brands to develop that future. As a leader of this organization, I have a clear mission of where we need to go, what we need to achieve, and of course the results that we need to deliver. Okay, thank you. Thank you. First, I would like to talk of our purpose. It's important to let you know that this stands in all the company, and everywhere that we are. And we are a people-based company. There's no doubt. We're a people-based company with a single purpose of delivering happiness to our consumers, whether clients and our partners, our team members. We want to serve a cup every day, one by one, a pizza one by one, and let all those customers to be glad on serving the best service and the best product that we are. Here, I would like to talk about the Alsea culture, how we can maximize this Alsea value. And this is 6 pillars that are super strategic, super important for us. First is have the best talent. I think Scott is going to talk a little bit more about how we're doing in talent, what's going on about turnovers, how we're doing. I think that's the best and more important thing for us, our success in the future. Second, operational excellence. We are an operational company. We have KPIs. We have the road ahead to have the best excellence in operations. Digital transformations and cutting edge marketing, super important in these days. Then, of course, the portfolio profitability. I'm going to talk later on a little bit how we're doing the portfolio profitability, where we're going, how it's going to be standing in the 2027 in 4 more years with a percentage of brands and geographies. Talk about a little bit innovation, and I would say innovation in technology, innovation also in products, and of course sustainability. Pillar right now for our future. The values, I always, when I chat with my team, I am very proud to say this is the values that we strive for. Of course, it's a winning attitude, engagement, leadership, amazing service. That's what we are standing here for. A collaborative spirit in our team, and attention to all the details. That means as Alsea, translated in Spanish. And then doing a commitment of what we strive for. We need to develop the best team in order to grow, in order to handle to the operation of the stores. Always making the best decisions for our customers and teams. Always thinking and if that customer is going to like this, if that customer is going to be ready for the game, if it's okay for the customer. So we need to think about first the customer and then our team members. And then, of course, increasing the potential great value of the customer, and then, of course, maximize the value of all of our shareholders. Since I joined the company, this new role in July, and being in two parts of the game, in the corporate position and then in operational side, I said, let's do a different model of working. I saw with a lot of my team people doing more transactions and businesses wise. So I try to say, let's move separately all the transactions that we do in the support center, and let the leaders that do the business wise every day just focusing on that. So we have here the customer centric just in the center of our flywheel of a strategic model. Then all the brands abroad. We have the accelerated growth, that is our people that is in the field, real estate, growing, seeing opportunities of the field, a white space for us to still grow in the company. And then these 4 pillars that has people capability, that Cory is going to talk a little bit more. What do we strive for that people capability? Operational capability. There Miguel is going to talk a little bit more how we do it, how we give them those support in order them to focus in sales, in the customer, and in human resources to each brand. We're going to talk about the management capability. Rafa is going to talk a little bit more about that, and Pablo is going to talk about the commercial digital capability that we strive in the company. I will want to make sure, of course, the same we translate it in a people capability, commercial, operational, and management. How can we attract better talent and with compensations, work flexibility? Very important right now, the transformation that we have in the human resources side of the table. It's been, I would say, we are not that complicated to get people, but it's getting a little bit different. It's different ways to attract talent, especially in Mexico. We didn't have that problem before. It was just easy. You put an ad in the news, and there's 1,000 people now there. Now there's not 1,000, probably 150. But in what details we need to really focus to have the best talent in our stores. We're going to talk about commercial digital capability. A lot of change, a lot of movement. Starbucks is moving to a SDS platform that Pablo is going to talk. How we're doing in Domino's with technology, and also in the restaurant segment. That's going to be interesting to talk. Of course, the data analytics now is a good way to track our customers, personalize our customer experience. Data, I mean, the price revenue management with this inflation that we just passed by, price and management are super key for results. So we're going to talk about that. And then operational capability. How can we continue to improve the performance? What are we doing in our distribution centers? What are we doing in some, especially in Mexico, Colombia, and Europe, regarding producing some sandwiches and capabilities of manufacturing some products that we are aligned to. And then, of course, Rafael is going to talk a little bit, and myself, of portfolio management. Where are we going in brands? How the geography looks, and how is the portfolio looks. No, so I'm going to pass the microphone here for Corey in order to start talking about human resources a little bit, where we're going in people. Thank you, Corey.
Thank you, Armando. When we talk about people capability, we like to think about the results and the value that we have to provide to the business. It's not about what we do in HR, but what's the result of that? What do the brands need? So what do we have to work on? And that value is basically expressed in three main results. And I'm going to talk about the first one: full staffing at the stores to deliver superior service. I know that this might seem pretty basic, but at the end of the day, that's what sustains business performance. And as Armando was saying, we are taking a very close look at what the market is telling us, what we're learning from our partners, from our franchisors, and make sure that we do this all the time, and we do it in a very good and effective way. And of course, it all starts with the purpose. When we decided to include the word happiness in the purpose, this idea of bringing happiness, of course, it represents a lot of commitment in terms of the quality of the working experience for Alsea. How is working for Alsea, and how do we make sure that working for Alsea and its brands is really a very positive experience for people? And so the purpose is inspiring significant change to the way we traditionally manage people. This idea that we are a high turnover industry and we have to live with that, we're really challenging that. It's not only HR, but influencing the business leaders, so that we really think about this differently and think of Alsea not only as a big employer, which we already are, but as a good employer, an employer of choice, and making sure that the jobs that we offer are jobs where people want to stay, where they can grow, they can learn, and they can continue developing. So the people promise across markets, this happiness issue means that we offer jobs where people are treated with dignity. That's the main thing. And where we foster well-being and promote development opportunities. All HR initiatives are connected to that, so that we really offer our people reasons to stay, not just to join Alsea, but to stay in Alsea. And at the same time, we know and we acknowledge that we must have a very effective recruiting model. And I'm so proud of what the team in Mexico is the biggest market. I'm so proud of what they've done in terms of the recruitment process using artificial intelligence. And we want to transfer that model to the rest of the countries. You wouldn't believe it, but we only have a team of 33 recruiters in Mexico that work hand in hand with our store managers. And we are able to hire and recruit high volume every month, around 2,000 people per month. So the KPIs that you see there, 98% of coverage, critical store, those are the stores that have a coverage below 80%. Those stores should not be more than 5%. And when that store gets to that level, we always help them directly to recruit and complete the staff. And the time to fill, 7 days to complete the open positions that we have within the operation. So we want to share this model with the rest of the countries, mainly with those where we are seeing challenge in order to hire the people that we need. And as part of this process, we are focusing on the critical zones per market. We are learning that in certain cities, it's been challenging to get the people that we need. And at the end of the day, I could tell you a lot of examples of the regional approaches that our store managers are having. But the most important thing is to provide them with the authority and tools so that they connect to their people. They learn about their needs. Every person is going to have a different need, a different motivation. And so what we say to store manager is just try to meet that. If somebody is asking you for a fixed shift, which is something that we're not very used to do, well, try to do it, because that's the best way to provide the value that the people is expecting. So, and I connect with the next one, this personalization of the working experience. At the end of the day, we know that these challenges have to be addressed store by store and provide them with the authority, the tools, and this process of test new solutions and learn, and just let's keep the communication so we can really identify where should be addressing the most important initiatives, institutional initiatives across all the brands. And fair income, this concept of ingreso digno, which is a core element of the HR and the ESG strategy. The main gap that we have is in Mexico, and we're working on that. We're really taking very seriously this idea that the main reason why people work for us is because they need the job. And so those jobs have to be well compensated. And we're always talking about this with Alberto and the board, that we are really committed to investing in better salaries, mainly where we have the main gaps, which is Domino's, Burger King, and making sure that all of our people meet this idea of fair income, okay? And we talk about income, not only salary, because we know that in our industry, tipping is important, so we're also enabling this tipping through all the channels and the different brands in order to help them to have a better income. And the key metric that we are taking care of is, of course, turnover. Turnover is going to be always the main result through which we can help the business offer a better service and have always the customers preferring our brands. So as you can see, Alsea Global looks pretty good, and I'm comparing to what we have in 2019, because of course 2020, 2021 are not good references because of the pandemic. But if you see the results of Mexico, the Mexico team made an extraordinary job here, from 85 to 66%. So this is like breaking all of these paradigms regarding the level of turnover that we can have. And of course, learning from all the markets, Argentina always with the best turnover result, Colombia pretty good, Chile. So we are making this like a turnover committee. Each brand in every market, they have their own plans. And of course, the plan has to be comprehensive in terms of the way we treat people and the compensation that we offer and the store environment. It has a lot of things, but at the end of the day, when we see this, and even though when we have extraordinary results, as I was telling you in Mexico, 66% turnover means more than 20,000 people that leave the company every year. And we always wonder, well, what's behind those stories? How can we better learn about what we should be doing? And again, the same artificial intelligence technology that we're using to hire, to screen candidates, to schedule job interviews, and to streamline the process, that same technology, we're using it now from this year on in order to connect directly to every person that we hire and be asking them through the chatbot, how are you feeling? What do you need? Are you receiving the proper training? So that we can anticipate the potential problems that are happening store by store and by district. And we provide those reports, of course, to our business leaders, managers, so that they can learn in order to solve the problem store by store. So we are confident that we're going to continue improving this and making sure that the business is able to really offer customers the extraordinary service experience that we want to. And very connected to this, the second result that we're looking for in terms of people capability means to have the best store managers in the industry to increase sales. We have extraordinary store managers. Actually, in a couple of weeks, we are going to give this award that we've been giving since 2016 to the Store Manager of the Year. And when we receive nominations, those are incredible stories, inspiring stories. We have wonderful people. But we want to make sure that that wonderful people is in every store. And we still have, of course, room for opportunity. When you walk in a store, you immediately can tell if you have a good store manager or not. And of course, we've always known this. And we've always said that the store manager is the most important position for the company, but we want to strengthen that. And we want to approach it in with a different perspective. This business, it's all about the store manager. The store manager guarantees the good experience for the people and for the customer. But we would always look at it as how do we have to prepare them in order for them to provide to the business all these things that we need. And we're changing that now. We want to make sure that if we want them to take care of the people, the first that have to be felt that we are taking care of them is the store manager. So that's a switch in the strategy, and it's important. And what we're doing is defining, building a governance framework that we're going to provide to all of the markets and all of the brands regarding how we should manage that position in terms of the success profile, the personal development and well-being, the professional development, and making sure that compensation is very competitive and strong enough for the store manager to build equity for the future for their family. So we're very excited about this. It's like reimagining the role and making sure that no matter the brand, no matter the country, all of the store managers for Alsea really have the best experience working for us. And when we have that, of course, we can expect the results in terms of people and customer. These KPIs that you see here are only from Mexico. We're still building this across the rest of the markets, but how are we going to measure the result of if we have the successful store manager, of course, with their performance, which right now is around 87%, store manager turnover. And we have a lot to learn here. For example, if we take a look at Burger King Argentina, extraordinary turnover with 9%, but Burger King Mexico, 38% turnover. So we have a lot to connect and learn from each other in order to do this better. And the competitive compensation package. We compare how much do we pay in base salary and total compensation, and we still have room for opportunities. So we are going to be taking a very close look at all this, having the store manager as a key element of the people capability. And finally, the top team, the top management team. We want a diverse and competent team in order to continue driving profitability. We are building a global talent database and taking a much closer look to the development opportunities for the top 30 group and the top 100, which would be basically all of the director level positions in all of the countries. We know that we have to strengthen our talent management process and that we have opportunities in building a successful succession plan for the CEO and for the C-level positions. That's a top priority for the board, and we allocate a lot of the time to that. And we're trying to learn and strengthen that process each day. So basically what we're going to focus on is learning about the gaps that we have versus best practices in terms of talent discussion, talent development, and continue making external benchmarking with potential candidates that we might be interested in having them within the company. The board takes a very active role here, and all of us, every year, we are accountable to presenting them what's my potential successor and what am I doing to develop him or her so that really we can assure that continuity of the strategy. And a third pillar of that is continue working with Armando in the redesign of the organization to build bigger roles. The CEO of Alsea is a very complex role, big role, and we have to make sure that there's more than one feeder potential position where we can have that potential CEO and the C-level positions covered, okay? And our main key KPIs for the talent strategy, top management positions with succession plan, these are the results for 2022, 81%. If we are between 80 and 85, I think we're making a good job. The internal sourcing of director level positions, 79%, that's excellent. We have 24 appointments last year, director level, from the top management and one level below, and 79% were appointed internally, and that's great, because that's a very good indicator that we are developing internal people. Key talent retention, we have opportunity there, 83%, but we would like to be around 95. Female directors to have more women represented in leadership positions, Right now, that's the metric, 23%, but we already make this public announcement that by 2030, we want to have 40% of women in leadership positions. And leadership impact, this is a metric that we have where everybody's direct reports evaluate us as leaders. And to measure the impact, we have 13 attributes where we have to set the example. And again, 3.8 out of 5, and we would like to have 3.9 by 2026, a couple of years to strengthen that. And finally, in terms of the top team alignment, I'm not sure if there we are. How are we making sure that we are all aligned to the main success metrics of the business? This is an overview of how we do this. In general terms, the compensation mix for the top management, 50% fixed compensation and 50% variable, 35 in the annual bonus and 15 with the long-term incentive. How do we pay the annual bonus? It's based depending on your role and your place in the organization, but more or less it's 25% of that on group performance indicators, financial indicators, and then 50, what we call the perimeter. The perimeter depends. It's the business unit where you have the biggest impact or the most important impact. And finally, your performance depending on the role that you execute. Based on that, the payout of the annual bonus. And last year, we launched a long-term incentive, which we are calling Bono Crece, 3-year based on return on equity and earnings per share. Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, Cody. Good morning, everybody. For Alsea, supply chain is a key pillar of the strategy and a competitive advantage for our stores and brands. So now I want to share with you a video.
At Alsea, we know that happiness and flavor are reflected in each detail, experience, and visit to any of our restaurants. And for these to happen, we have a team of professionals who work to guarantee that each dish, each pizza, each cup of coffee, and each get-together means a super experience for our customers each day, every day. For over 30 years, we have provided specialized service to our units in the processes of planning and replenishment, purchasing, manufacturing, quality control, new product development, logistics, and distribution. And thanks to Alsea's shared service center, we get support in human resources, finance, technology, and security processes. Our supply chain generates important efficiencies and represents a strategic advantage for our brands. We integrate a network of 11 distribution centers and 11 production plants, some operated by ourselves and others through specialized third parties, which are selected and certified under the highest quality and food safety standards, ensuring they meet our requirements and those of our global strategic partners. This is where we produce pizza dough, pastry, bakery, sandwiches, processed foods, meat products, and sauces, among other products. We serve over 4,400 of our units, producing more than 44,000 tons of pizza dough per year, replenishing more than 16,000 SKUs, distributing in more than 350 cities in 12 countries, making more than 6,300 deliveries per week, and traveling over 60,000 kilometers each day. Think global and act local has been key to our growth success. We know our customers never see these efforts, but they enjoy the results during each experience. And that's what motivates us each and every day. We at Alsea will continue working with passion and putting our hearts into every detail to make this magic happen and to bring happiness and experiences full of flavor.
Like it? Okay,
Yes.
thank you.
Yes, Miguel, I'm a fan of your job and your team.
Thank you. In Mexico, we operate a 5PL operation integrated by disease, transportation, manufacturing, replenishment, and also procurement. We operate more than 2,080 stores, and we serve more than 252 cities around the Republic. Today, we just finished our migration to Oracle Cloud that will allow us to update our warehouse management system, transportation systems, and also we're implementing voice picking that will allow us to increase productivity at the same time to be more efficient to our stores service. Also, we're working very close to our vendor community to increase our backhaul program. Today, our backhaul program has an impact of 3.5%, but we have a plan to take it to 10% in the following 2 years. For network planning and design, we use Lamasoft, that is the most updated systems around the world. As we're committed to sustainability, this system not only will help us to reduce the weight average distance, increase our drop size, and also be more efficient, it also will help us to reduce the amount of fuel and make an impact on the CO2. As we operate a multi-temperature and a multi-brand operation, definitely this is a competitive advantage in the market. And also to control this, we have a control tower that allow us not only to work the geolocalization of the truck, also will track the amount of coal that we have in each truck, and also the amount of speed, and make more efficient our truck drivers. Also, we have a plan with the School of Driving inside Alsea to develop the new truck drivers of the future. So today, 90% of the hiring is inside and 10% is outside for truck drivers. Also, we work with world-class KPIs. And let me show you that, for instance, for the price list for the last 4 years, Alsea had beat the market, having a better price comparing with the food and beverage index in Mexico. Also, we have a better in-stock, is the availability of product and service to our stores. We have increased 100 basis points for the last 4 years. Productivity, something very key for our business, have improved more than 44%, and the transportation costs have been reduced 21%. So very good figures for the team. Here, I want to show you how the global supply chain is integrated. As I just told you, Mexico is a 5PL, and in the rest of the regions, we have third parties, they operate 2 and 3PL. All the operations are selected and certified under high standards of operations, but much better of quality and food safety. We have been doing benchmarks since last October to elevate the bar of the operation. We have quarterly reviews, and also we are sharing best practices, aligning practices, and make a much better use of the scale of Alsea today. In procurement, since last October, we're working a global strategy under the promise, think global, but act local. Okay, our total expense of all the countries is around $1 billion, and we found out that 30% is representative of the top 20 global raw materials. So this year, for 2023, we are focusing on the value of the cost. So we already have some hedgings for around $240 million in raw materials that will impact this year. So we try to control the cost and also have a positive financial impact. Globally, last year, Alsea have a -3% in wage average inflation in all the countries with the global food beverage index, and in Mexico, 13.5. The main key raw materials are cheese, wheat, oil, proteins, and also we included packaging. On the manufacturing efficiency, we have 11 plants around the world, 4 in Mexico, 4 in Europe, and 3 in Colombia. Our main goal is to provide outstanding products to our customers and stores, but at the same time, reduce complexity of the operation at store level, and also maximizing the standardization and quality of the products. Maintenance, availability, new products development are key for providing optimal capacity and innovation. This year, we launched 3 new lines, was tortillas, chicken, and ribs. We just signed an agreement with Europastry to really increase our expertise and new products innovation, especially for Starbucks to improve our food attachment. Europastry is well known to be one of the top 5 global frozen bakery in the sector and operates in more than 80 countries. From the food quality, we have a very strong program on quality assurance. There is a supplier program approval development that implement for food and packaging too, that take consideration for safety, quality, and also social responsibility. We're pushing that all our vendors have a global food safety initiative. There's also, we have a surveillance program that really will follow up after the inbound, the outbound of the product with our labs, that we have our own labs and also with third parties. We do some tests of microbiology, psychometrical, and also application for product suppliers randomly. All our DCs are certified with SQF. Also, our internal system of quality assurance have improved to be up to the challenge with international standards. And afterwards, I think we're very happy and proud to share with you that the logistics team has been named as with the award 2022 with the Mexico Logistics Award based on the supply chain network redesign that we did it in 2021 and we applied it in 2022. Thank you very much.
Allá a la derecha. Ahí.
Hi, good morning, everyone. It's great to be here. And the idea is on this chapter to talk about the overall and global commercial strategy for the company. And before getting started, 3 key messages that I wanted to share. The first piece is usually when we talk about digital, it might get complex. So I will try to keep it simple, connective, and down to earth to the business through our team members and our customers. The second key message is Armando shared the importance on the evolution of our strategic business model. And one of the key pillars is a commercial strategy. And we need to further drive our commercial strategy to become progressively more global. And that is important to drive conversions, to accelerate opportunities, and to actually drive further growth. We've got opportunities on the same brand across geographies, on benchmarking best practices, and within the same geographies across brands. And the third message is, it's not only about what we've got and what we have done, but it's also to have the right balance between what we have done right and the opportunities to come and how we can do it better. So in a nutshell, I'm getting down into the presentation. When we think about digital customers and KPIs, first, let's get back to the key concept. Digital customers are the ones related to our delivery pillar, either being on our own delivery or through aggregators. And also digital customers are the ones considered through our loyalty or CRM programs. So in total, in the 3 geographies, we've got in simple numbers around 10 million customers. 40% of those are in Mexico, and the rest is evenly spread between South America and Europe. Those digital customers today account for around 30% of our total sales in Alsea, adding up in 2022 of around 19 billion Mexican pesos, growing around almost 32% year over year, and representing around 50 million orders in 2022. But now, again, talking about brands and which our key businesses, thinking about Starbucks, well, we have grown almost 44% in our digital sales. And today our sales penetration in Starbucks is around 22%. And when we look at Domino's, we have grown around 19%, clearly more penetrated as we do have our own delivery, and we do have around 42% sales penetration. We will highlight also the restaurant segment, high penetration in Europe, quite good in Mexico, and growing 36% with 25% penetration, and the final segment around Burger King or our hamburger business. So when we think about digital, it is mostly about data. And when we think about data, is how do we get analytics and insights behind the data? And within that, it's important for us to have a focus and simple agenda again. So there are mainly three pillars that we need to further drive with the scale across the brands and the geography. The first one is market research, and we need to have a clear, deep understanding. It's not only about the general market share. So we know our general market share, Mexico 17%, South America 10%, Europe 14%. But it's all about how do we get more granular. So within each country, each brand, we need to get further down to each geography and each location and the channel and the moment of consumption, and understand which consumers are buying our brands, which consumers are not buying our brands, which consumers which are not buying our brands, which is the bottleneck on them having a relationship with us. Are they stuck on the consideration? Have they tried our brands and they have not become loyal? How do we make our regular customers even more loyal? And understand how our brands are strong on some attributes and we've got opportunities on some others, and make sure, again, that this pillar is clearly consistent across brands and across geographies, so we are able to have a full market reading on a global consolidated footprint. The second pillar, Armando clearly highlighted that at the beginning, and pricing and revenue management is key. And we do recognize that inflation has been challenging, but it's also important to have a more evolved, structured pricing and revenue management strategy that clearly will impact as an opportunity to improve our profitability. And it's mostly about making sure that our price lists are optimized. And when we do tiering, we clearly become more structured between socioeconomic level, location, competitor presence, and even we segment that. It's not the same for Starbucks on the price elasticity of a latte that the price elasticity for a high-end iced beverage. So clearly, depending on the structure, product segment, consumer, location, and moment of consumption, we can get that opportunity on an improved basis. And that's another key pillar. And the third piece, it is mostly when we talk about customer and digital analytics, it is mostly about how do we move from transactions into relations? And how do we move it from transactions to relations and to drive customer growth through frequency? So what we're going to see is how we are moving to customer lifetime value segmentation, or recency, frequency, and monetary segmentation, and how we are evolving through understanding better preferences and moments of consumptions, and how do we get into better personalized marketing, either being product, communication, or personalized offers and promotions. So connecting the third chapter on the CRM and loyalty strategy, and again, in simple terms, which are the key pillars? So the first piece is, let's locate where CRM and loyalty is on the customer journey. So clearly, we've got an overall on the upper right, we've got acquisition. Actually, we drive marketing campaigns, and we are becoming more and more efficient. And since the moment the customer has the first transaction in one of our stores with one of our brands, that's the moment the CRM and loyalty chapter starts. And the CRM and loyalty chapter, it's all about how we grow the value of the relationships of our customers. And usually, there is around 2 to 2.5 times more frequency on a customer that we do have the data, and we do have the relationship, and we do have those customers on a digital platform compared to a non-digital customer when we only know the transaction, but we don't know who the customer is. And the way we are going to evolve is, the first pillar is recency, frequency, or monetary. In simple terms, customer lifetime value. And it's all about, in simple terms, the value of a customer is how much the customer has spent with us on a period of 1 year, to give the value of that customer. Obviously, we measure frequency in a shorter period of time, and we look to low, medium, and high frequency depending on the brand. And we measure that in simple terms in monetary by the average ticket being below the average and being above the average. And the whole high value customer is going to be the top value with high frequency and high average ticket. And you can see a simplified segmentation between low, medium, and high value. The importance of this is that we are evolving on this segmentation strategy for all of our brands and for all of our geographies. So we are able to get learnings across brands and across geographies. And progressively, we are getting into understanding which are the customers that have not bought us in the last 90 days, have not bought us in the last 180 days, which are the customers that we are losing and why we are losing those. And by learning from that, we can evolve on becoming more targeted and smarter. Also, we are going to evolve on the second pillar on what we call personalized marketing. It's also important, not only important what the customer bought, but what the customer has not bought and what they do not know about the brands. And that's where we need to pick up their preferences on the day-to-day routine, but also to highlight the value of the brands on our new offering. And the final piece, it's about customer satisfaction and how we relate the customer satisfaction in every point of transaction to build up the relationship with them. And a positive feedback, what do we do about it? A negative feedback, what do we do about it? Is part of the overall CRM strategy. So getting from the general strategy into the more specifics. And there are important changes that we are going to drive moving forward on this chapter. And as we shared, we are going to get back to back with our global partners and truly to accelerate the agenda to become the best in class. So within that agenda, the first chapter in Starbucks on our loyalty strategy is going to be fully focused and solely focused on Starbucks rewards. And we are going to expand, and I'm going to expand in the coming slides what that means, which is the potential, and for us, which is the potential to grow. Armando mentioned SDS, and we are going to share that in further detail. The second piece is Domino's. We know that Domino's has a piece of the pie rewards, and it can have different formats, and it can have different rules adapted to different market realities. So yes, same piece of the pie exists in US, exists in multiple countries in Europe, not necessarily exactly the same rules, but those being adapted to the reality of each market. But the important is to have the common platform and to drive the learning through that common platform. The third piece is we do acknowledge that in the restaurant segment, we have been investing a lot in the WOW platform in Mexico. Also, we do acknowledge that our evolution in the restaurant segment around CRM and loyalty has been very important in Europe, and we are looking to converge those on a common CRM and loyalty platform on the restaurant segment for the entire Alsea. And the final chapter, we can see in Burger King, MyBK examples on MyBK penetration, just launched RBI on a year and a half in Brazil. Within a year and a half, they've got more than 25% sales penetration. So when we back it up, you can see our current penetration below. And this is our reality. And this is the balance between our reality and our opportunity. So today in Starbucks, we are around total, we are 14% penetration in the loyalty. And we are going to see that if we benchmark that with US, 50% penetration in US as a benchmark, and we are going to tell that history. Similar situation in Domino's, 50 to 60% penetration, because the loyalty program is fully embedded on the e-commerce and fully embedded on the delivery platform. So imagine the opportunity. And imagine if each of those customers actually spends the double with us that being non-digital customer and not having the data of their customer. And that's basically on the CRM and the opportunity. So now the second pillars. I mentioned that loyalty is one of the pillars of digital. The other key pillar is delivery. And when we open delivery, and we were talking about this in a balanced way, there is a usual contrast on Shall we go fully with the aggregators? Shall we go fully with our own delivery? And it's not about, in reality, one or the other, but how we build an overall delivery strategy, understanding the role of both aggregators and our own delivery. And understanding that the aggregators is a channel that is growing, that the consumer is selecting, that in general is here to stay. And we need to make sure that we capture our fair share. And we capture customers which are not necessarily loyal to a brand. Usually customers that are highly loyal to a brand get on the brand own e-commerce and in the brand own application, such as the example of Domino's. So the balanced role of our own e-commerce and deliver is how, whilst we are getting non-loyal customers from the aggregators and our fair share, we make sure that we deliver the best high value through our own e-commerce and delivery platforms. And when we talk about loyalty program, it's going to be on our platforms, and that is going to get the right balance on capturing the full delivery moment consumption opportunity. So when we look into the specific numbers, you can see on the upper left, on around 42% Domino's. Down below, you can see the distribution between our own delivery, aggregators delivery, and a bit on the opportunity, just to highlight that's only the opportunity on aggregators, okay? And it's looking to the representation that we need to capture in the relative short to mid-term on our fair share. But in Domino's, obviously, mostly concentrated on the strengths on our own delivery, but opportunity to almost double our representation on aggregators. When we look into Starbucks, similar situation, and you can see that across the different sales penetration and across the different mix of brands. So that's a bit on the mix, the key messages on the overall delivery strategy. And again, the role on both aggregators that we've got to play, and the role that, and the clear strategy and the highest value that we need to deliver through our e-commerce as a mid to long-term bet. So now from the general key aspects, getting into a couple of specific cases on our largest brands that we wanted to share. So we picked Starbucks Mexico. So a couple of specific KPIs. On Starbucks Mexico, you can see down below the real evolution on sales penetration, digital sales penetration between 2019 and 2022. So 2019, we were 25%, 2022, we are 35% penetration in Mexico. When we look into Starbucks Rewards in Mexico, last year we have grown 50%, whilst the overall business grown 36%. When we talked about the number of customers that we've got in Starbucks Mexico, we are talking about a bit more than 700,000 customers that are accounting for that 35% of the total sales. The opportunity is huge. And even not only in the size of customers to capture, but also when we look into the spread of those 700,000 customers, we also got opportunities there are customers that actually bought us once or twice in the last 90 days. And there is an opportunity to also increase their frequency. But when we look into their average frequency, again, what happens is on average, they've got the double the frequency, and they spend on average the double the value versus a non-registered and a non-digital customer. So when we look into the opportunity and in the outlook, well, US got 56% digital penetration, okay? And with the overall acceleration that we are driving with the Starbucks digital solution global platform that I'm going to show you in the coming slides, we do clearly see the opportunity to, in the coming 5 years, to get to that benchmark level, not only in Mexico, but actually driving that forward across the Starbucks and across Alsea markets. So when we talk about Starbucks digital solutions, what do we mean? And again, in simple terms. Well, it's a technology and digital solution that is comprehensive and is looking to connect in a better way with customers and team members, what we call partners in Starbucks. And when we talk about partners or retail or a store, it is as important to improve our relationship with our customers, but it's also evenly important to make sure that our team members got the best operational technology, so they're able to focus more time with our customers to deliver the best experience, that they have the best systems to manage the store, to focus on the relationship with the customer, and even to manage inventory. And the second big chapter is what we call the app, which is the customer-facing app, to have improved our loyalty CRM and personalized marketing. And the third big chapter is about analytics and insights. So where we are today in this. So we're reviewing with Rafa and Armando, just as a complementary reference, we are in the process of developing the rollout for this in Latin America. In Latin America will mean around an investment of 340 million Mexican pesos only for Latin America. And it's going to be a progressive implementation between the different countries. So we are going to start Paraguay, Uruguay, Colombia, and down the line in the coming 12 to 18 months, all the Latin markets are going to be rolled out. Okay. And it's going to be a progressive rollout per market, but it's also going to be a progressive rollout by main component, the core, the app, and insights analytics. So on a balance side, also in Europe, we have implemented what we call the bundle one, or the retail and the core solution, and also evolving throughout this year on the Starbucks app and analytics and insights and better CRM capabilities. So now the other chapter about Domino's, our other big global brand. So again, picking up Mexico, I think that it is actually great news that in our largest market that we do operate with Domino's, in the second largest market in volume in terms of pizza globally, we actually progressively and accelerating our market share growth. So you can see on the upper side, we're gaining share on 1.5% on last year versus 2021, knowing that there is high intensity of competition, knowing that there has been known challenges on the overall inflation cost. So a couple of KPIs in the same trend. Our sales penetration, digital sales penetration in Mexico is in corporate stores around 45%. We have grown our sales in Mexico in digital channels 26% year over year. On our overall business, the growth has been 13%. So that's a clear signal of acceleration. In terms of only Mexico, we are having 2.9 million active customers. And again, when we measure about frequency, compare that frequency to the overall average of the frequency of the brand, it is 3 times the frequency and 3 times the value, because the average ticket actually is relatively the same. And again, when we look down below, the evolution between 2019 and today. So 2019, we're having 26% sales digital penetration. 2022, we ended up with around 45%. When we look in US as being the best benchmark, and we are going to talk about how do we get again back to accelerate becoming the best in class. The horizon of US is around 70% of the sales are digital. And that's our horizon. And the whole key point is, how do we accelerate towards that horizon from where we are today? And similar to SDS, and similar to the concept on becoming global, becoming the best in class, having common platforms, and actually driving acceleration through simplicity and conversions, the chapter in Domino's is called Domino's Cloud. So it's one e-commerce for the entire Alsea and one e-commerce platform. The second big concept is, it is literally the same source code and the same system than Domino's US, literally. Knowing that it's the best in class, and there is a lot of people developing and investing the best-in-class technology within Domino's US. Clearly, we want to ensure the best experience and making sure that it's not only about one-shot investment, but every time that being in the last source code is, let's say that US has the latest innovation, rather than being 3 to 5 years delayed, we're going to be 3 to 6 months delayed. And that's the whole difference. It's about continuous innovation and continuous improvement and how do we drive that forward. So similar to Starbucks solution, the key pillars of Domino's Cloud is there are 2 chapters on the left side, Flex and Inventory App, which is it's all about how we further facilitate our operations at the store, and we make them more efficient, and we make those easier for our store managers, like Corey was mentioning. The second chapter, which is digital shoulder surfing, digital shoulder surfing is, in simple terms, a way to predict what the customer is going to order, okay, in digital platforms. And Piece of the Pie is a loyalty platform. And when we talk about GPS, we do acknowledge that that's an opportunity on us, and we need to catch up. And as part of this deployment, we are catching up very quickly. And then talking about advanced make line, mostly of our pizza business is about the rush hours and the peak hours. And getting connected with advanced make line is how technology is going to, how this Domino's Cloud platform is going to help us to actually predict what do we need to further prepare in those peak times to actually make the stores even more efficient and make our service even faster than what we are doing today. So before getting to another video, let's get into the concrete reality, not only the PowerPoint, is where we are today with Domino's Cloud. So we've got mainly 3 key markets. Now we expanded 1 store in Uruguay, but it's Mexico, Colombia, and Spain. So we already implemented the web version in Mexico and Colombia, so that is live. We are going with the app versions live in Mexico and Colombia between April and May, and rolling out the rest of the technology in Mexico and Colombia by the end of Q2. And start the development and ending up the full rollout for the entire Alsea by the end of 2023 on this overall solution that we are presenting. So we've got another video about Domino's Cloud and what it's about.
This is our story. Innovation and happy customers have always been the driving force behind our ideas. Back in 2014, we launched our first e-commerce platform and have since evolved to become the largest single restaurant online platform. We've created new digital channels and partnered with delivery platforms to increase sales and place our brand at the top. In 2022, we sold 6.5 billion pesos digitally. We have over 5.5 million active customers. And we're proud to say that we get more than 590,000 digital orders per week. Yep, that's a lot of pizza. Now, we want the best technology to take us even further, to continue being number 1, to be there for our customers before anybody else, and to deliver the best pizza. It's not just about pizza, it's the love for our customers, and a bunch of experts figuring out what it is that our customers want and delivering it better than anyone else, like personalized marketing and rewards with every order. We're a team that dreams big and innovates, with tech features like Flex to enable all of the new Domino's digital solutions. Digital shoulder surfing enables order prediction, and GPS tech with live order tracking, from the oven to the customer's address. With the latest tech in the world, we will remain at the top, delivering the best pizza experience, one slice at a time, into the future.
So that was basically it on my side. Thank you so much for listening, and thanks for the time, okay?
I have been part of Alsea for the last 10 years. I started in Chile, leading first Starbucks, then the whole portfolio in Chile, and then I moved to Mexico, And since last year, August last year, I am back in Europe, back in my hometown in Madrid, in Spain, leading our portfolio there in Spain and the other countries in Europe. Of course, all the strategies and ideas that have been explained by my colleagues, by Cory, people, purchasing and logistics, and for sure digital and technology, all of them apply to Europe as well. Yes, we are a truly global company, and we are in close contact, and we have the same strategies. What I have seen when coming back to my city and to my country is a huge opportunity in Europe for us, for Alsea, with our portfolio. And besides the opportunity in technology and digital that Pablo explained, I wanted to focus on the opportunity in terms of store count, in number of stores. Yes, there are possibilities for our brands to grow in Spain and in Europe. Today, our portfolio is composed of 7 brands in Spain and mainly just one that is Starbucks in the other countries in Europe, in France, in Portugal, and Netherlands, and Belgium. We are opening the first Starbucks stores this year. And the opportunity, I would say, is in all brands, but mainly in three of them. The biggest opportunity is with Starbucks. Starbucks is doing very well in all our geographies and in Europe for sure. The opportunity is bigger in France because the market is much bigger there and our penetration is still low. But there are opportunities in Spain, in Portugal, Netherlands, and for sure in Belgium. We will talk a little bit later about France. The other opportunity that we have is with Domino's Pizza. We are close to 400 stores at this moment, but we are still the number 2, the second in the line in the pizza market in Spain. And for sure, we want to be the number 1. We will do that in the coming years. There are opportunities to penetrate in smaller cities and to organize new openings in the big cities as well. Domino's is doing very well in Spain. And the third opportunity is big opportunities with a local Spanish brand that is called Vips. We have Vips in Mexico as well. This is a very interesting phenomenon in Spain because it's a local brand. It was born in Madrid, in the center of Spain. We have 150 stores. We define Vips as an eatery. It's a fantastic magic place where you can go. We open early in the morning, 8 o'clock, and we close late in the night, 12 or 1 a.m. And you will find people there all the time, having breakfast, having lunch, dinner, after lunch, whatever. Yes, so there is a very nice atmosphere in this brand. It started, as I said, in Madrid, in the center of Madrid, very successful there. In the last year, we have been opening more stores, more Vips stores in the surroundings of Madrid, with a very good success, and in other cities in Spain. One thing that surprised me about Spain, now that I'm back there, is that Spain used to be more about Madrid and then Barcelona and then the rest. But today there are several prominent cities growing very, very fast in Spain, like Valencia in the east. The whole east coast of Spain is doing very, very well. The south, Malaga, Sevilla, and the north, Bilbao. So there are opportunities to go to. We are present in some of those cities, but there are big opportunities to grow there. So we are going to be for sure busy in this and coming years in terms of opening new stores. When we talk about France, we were acquiring the French market from Starbucks at the end of year 1918. Yes. 18, yes, at the end of 18. And as I said, probably here is our biggest opportunity. It's a huge market. We don't have clear, direct competitors. Of course, you can find cafeterias and bakeries there, but Starbucks is doing very well. Our team there is performing fantastically. They started applying the rules that have made us successful in other countries, trying to of course, to boost sales, but having cost into control. We found opportunities in terms of maintenance, for example, or other opportunities in terms of the management of the real estate portfolio. We found there many flagships or stores in let's say, in expensive places where we want to be for sure, but there are opportunities with Starbucks to be with different formats of stores in different places, almost everywhere. Yes, we have been diversifying this portfolio. We are beyond the main street or the high streets and the commercial centers. We are opening new formats, as I said, kiosks or for example, by the end of the year, beginning of next year, we will be opening the first drive-thrus in France and in other countries in Europe. It's interesting to see that in the Americas and particularly in Mexico and other countries, this kind of stores, those drive-thrus are very powerful and they are doing very good business. And in Europe, we have still to start with that. Yes, we are today maybe a couple of steps behind in Europe, which is let's say a very good news. I see it positive because once we implement in Europe what we have been doing in the other countries, and this is coming right now, this is going to make us very successful. What Pablo mentioned about delivery, about Starbucks rewards, etc., applies for sure to Europe. In France, we have been running the program Starbucks Rewards for 2-3 years, but it was not on the top level of Starbucks Rewards. We reached that by the end of last year. We are seeing in a couple of months that our tender, the percentage of sales that are coming from Starbucks Rewards, double from 8% to 16% suddenly. Yes, and we see a very good trend for this program. And about the other countries in Europe, Spain, Portugal, the program is coming. So we didn't have it. It's coming this May. So and again, we see a lot of growth coming from those digital tools. Delivery is another opportunity. Imagine that while in Mexico, for example, in Starbucks, our delivery counts for almost 10% of our sales. In Europe, is less than half of that. Yes, and maybe we have been in the past a little bit conservative in terms of delivery. We are not anymore. There is huge potential for delivery in Europe, and not only for Starbucks, for all our brands. Yes. And finally, I wanted to share with you the two main headwinds that we have been navigating the last year, that were the cost of energy, first of all, and then the inflationary, the high prices of the high cost of product. Yes, in terms of energy, we had a very good situation last year till June. We had a nice and very convenient, very competitive agreement in terms of electricity purchasing, but unfortunately this finished by 30th of June last year, and we had to start buying energy in the open market. So that meant that we were buying for 40 euros the kilowatt, and we started suddenly growing in the buying in the open market for more than 200, 250, even 280 euros per kilowatt. There was a crazy situation in Spain and in Europe the last year. We were navigating that. We were trying to exploring possibilities. By the third quarter of last year, we already have some opportunities, but still we see and we feel, and we have been advised by experts in the market that is not the best moment. It was not, and it's not yet the best moment to engage with covering the cost of energy. It's still better to buy in the open market. Compared with the 280 euros per kilowatt, we are today, as we speak, buying the kilowatt for 100, some days below 100 euros the kilowatt. Still, of course, higher than those 40 that we have in the past, but much better than last year. And what we are seeing is that the future scope of the price of the energy should go to levels close to the ones that we had before the crisis. So we are watching the market. We are seeing what is going on, and we believe that in a matter of 1-2 years we will be having much better and more competitive prices than we had in the past. And about the increase of costs, which was something that happened globally. Well, the strategy was to try to, of course, to compensate and to trespass part of this impact to our customers, but very very carefully, trying to keep, for us, the most important thing is to keep our customers coming to our stores. We were suffering on the average an increase of our cost in the level of almost 16%, 15.5%, and we managed to trespass to our customers 8.5, 9%, depending on the brand, was more or less. And this was more or less on the similar level than our competitors. Yes. This year, still there is a problem of inflation in Europe. The situation looks better fortunately than a year ago. We, as Pablo explained, we are trying to be more sophisticated in how to deal with prices, trying to find better strategies, more clusters, more differentiated clusters in our geographies. Notice that we are, Spain and France as well, our main two countries in Europe, those are favorite touristic destinies, yes, for people. So depending on the area of the country, depending on the season as well, we can do things with the prices that will not be at the expense of the number of transactions. We are very focused. We have always been in terms of innovation, product innovation. Yes, innovation is key in the European market because it's very competitive and very mature market. So you have to offer, to give to your customers new reasons to come to you and try new products. But at the same time, this same innovation give us the possibility to trespass part of the cost without having our customers suffering. Just because our customers are accepting and buying very well new proposals with a good quality, even if sometimes they are more expensive than the one they had before. So although this inflationary situation was eroding last year our margin, we expect that between this and next year we will come back to the level of margins that we had before the crisis. Yes. Thank you, and I give back to Armando.
A little bit more. I just want to here highlight it a little bit. What is our market holding capacity in the whole markets in the whole region? And we have a white space still of about 2,500 stores. There you see 880 in Mexico. What about Europe and South America? This was a study that we just did in Euromonitor last October. So at the end, we can, out of a Starbucks, if we reach that market holding capacity, Starbucks, we will be at 38% in the weight of stores in our company. Domino's 32%, then the casual and family dining division 21%. And then I broke it down a little bit to see if we reach that market holding capacity, what will happen in Starbucks. So Starbucks, Mexico will be 45% of the pie, 35% in Europe, and 21% in South America. So I will give you a little bit more in the next slide how this will look for the openings to 2027. The Starbucks, this is a little bit the plan. I'm not going to dip in completely in the key strategies for every brand, but I just want to take a look of the units that we have of December of 20. Just last December, we closed the year with 1,661 units. For our plan for 2027, it will be open around 140, 138 stores per year. In this brand, that will be 86% will be corporate. As you know, in France, and we have some license and franchisees. That is the only country that we have that formula. That represents about 14% of the portfolio. And then it will put us again in the 43% stores that it will be placed in Europe, 36 in Mexico, and 21 in South America. If we go to the Domino's Pizza, what will happen? And we are planning to open around 127 stores per year. That is around 633 in the next 4 years. And we do have in all the 3 countries that we operate, we have franchisees. So that will be 46% will be corporate, 54 franchisees. And this is how it will look, the pie in Europe 17, Mexico 68, and then South America with 14%. And last and not least, this is gonna be the casual and family dining business, with of course less growth, but we're still gonna open 15 to 17 restaurants per year. 17% are corporate, 25% franchisees. That will be the total portfolio. How much in Europe, in Mexico, and South America? Mainly these stores that are open per year are in Vips, Spain. That's the most the brand that we are seeing a better opportunity, better average weekly unit sales, better margins. So we're gonna strive in that concept. Rafa, why don't you show us a little bit an update, and then we'll come back to give you an update of how we're doing in the year now.
Okay.
Weeks to 12.
Thank you, Armando, and thank you for joining. The debt profile as of December 2023. As you know, we issue a US bond at the end of 2021, $5 million US bond, and we hedged to Mexican pesos. And then on January last year, we issue a euro bond of 300 million euros to refinance all the bank debt that we had, almost all the bank debt. Then on that credit that's still alive in Europe, we have some restrictions in terms of capex and restrictions in terms of liquidity. And last December, we took out those restrictions, and now we have the normal covenants for this kind of bank credits, only gross debt to EBITDA and interest coverage. Last year, we paid 2.1 billion pesos for the amortizations of credits that we had for 2022. And for 2023, we have amortizations of 1.3 billion pesos. 1 billion, it's in Europe, and 300 million pesos, it's in Mexico City. We're gonna pay the 300 pesos that we have in Mexico, and we are working to refinance all the bank credit that we have in Europe, trying to back-end the amortization that we have in Europe, not just the 1 billion, but all the bank credit that we have in Europe, trying to amortize more in 2025 than the amortization that we have in the next years. At the end of 2023, the debt will be around 27.4 billion pesos. In Mexico, 18.4. In Europe, 8.9. If we don't refinance the debt, will be 9.9 billion pesos in Europe, and in Chilean pesos, it's only 12 million. The cost of the credits, it's 9.8%. With 70% of our credits, it's fixed interest, and 30% it's variable interest. So one of the main strategies of the company is to deleverage the company as fast as we can. So you can see that the deleverage of this company, because of the incremental EBITDA that we generate every year, and also the amortizations of credit, we deleverage the company pretty fast, no? In our projections, we're gonna be in 2 times net debt EBITDA in 2 years. You see that we have in our team pretty clear the main strategies to achieve this guidance. So we have to have this operational excellence with our store managers. We have to achieve the best cost for our products. We have to implement all the digital and loyalty platforms to achieve this guidance. In terms of openings, for 2023, will be around 180 to 200 corporate stores, mainly in the most profitable brands. There are Starbucks and Domino's. So around 50% of that number will be Starbucks, and 20% will be Domino's Pizza. Then sub-franchisees, around 70 to 90 new sub-franchisee units, also mainly in Starbucks and Domino's Pizza. In terms of CapEx, the CapEx will be around 5.5 billion pesos. I'm gonna break down the CapEx in the next slide. Same-store sales growing 14 to 17%. This is in local currency, and total growth in terms of revenues around 13%. In terms of EBITDA margin and EBITDA growth, EBITDA growth pre-IFRS 16 will be around 15%, with an EBITDA margin of 13%. With these numbers, revenue 13% increase and 15% increase in terms of EBITDA, the amount of EBITDA that we are gonna achieve is gonna be around 10 billion pesos for the whole year. With this, gross debt to EBITDA will be around 2.8 times, and with a return on equity close to 19%. Numbers post IFRS 16, EBITDA growth of 10%, with an EBITDA margin of 20%, gross debt to EBITDA 3.3 times, and a return on equity close to 23%. The breakdown of CapEx, as I mentioned, openings, corporate openings between 180 to 200. So the percentage of the CapEx for these new openings will be 37%. And in terms of remodeling and modernization of our units will be 17.5%. This gave us an increase of sales, because every time that we remodel or modernize the units, give us an increase in terms of sales of around 15%. And then we have maintenance, 28.4%. We are putting a lot of focus to have in a pretty good shape our units. So we are investing 28.4% of this CapEx in maintenance. And then technology and others. We mentioned, no, we are going to invest in a Starbucks digital solution for this year, around 200 million pesos. The total amount is around 340. So the other part is going to be for the next year. And we are putting some things in terms of digital and technology. We are going to put all the Burger King kiosks, digital kiosks in Mexico and South America, that also give us an incremental ticket of around 20%. Then we are going to implement the Olo Cloud and the SDS. In terms of capital allocation, after this investment in terms of CapEx, also the excess in cash that we have, we are buying back some shares. Last year, we bought back around 18 million shares, that it's around 2.2% of the total shares that we have. So we are also looking to buy back this year around 500 million pesos in terms of buyback of shares. We cancel the shares that we bought last year. We're in the process of this cancel of the shares that are going to be for sure in April. And I think that's it. So Alberto, please join us.
I just want to finalize because and then Alberto will finish and then I can go back. But just to tell you a little bit how we're doing, you asked me a little bit, so how things are doing. We are just finalizing the quarter in a week. So things look better than the numbers that Rafael sent, but I have to tell you that because that is the truest way. But we are facing a same-store sales around 24% from last week. Here it says 7.18, but the final number there is going to be 17. And there is Starbucks in Mexico is facing up to date a 32% increase in sales in same-store sales. Also very glad to see that Vips is growing fastly now than any other restaurant brand in Mexico with 15% in our against our, of course, brands that we have in the restaurant business. And Europe is also up 17% same-store sales, just framing that Spain and France are in the 29 and 27%. So things look a lot better in for our portfolio. And that one is mostly driven by traffic. 60% of that amount is driven by traffic. We don't see from some of you that I saw yesterday when in a quick chat, we were asking, what about inflation? What are you looking? I mean, we are not seeing any prices or any emergency calls that we saw last year about pricing. We have it very steady, as Miguel said. We have the most important raw materials really closed or negotiated already to the end of the year. Labor, we already know what was the rate increase in Spain, the rate increase there. So I think we are very ready for what comes. And I think I have the main thing drivers very clear. No, that is operational excellence, focusing the people. That is what makes us the difference in Alsea. Of course, a profitability company and focus in the capex allocation. Very clear where the capex allocation has to be in geographies, in brands. Same-store sales and organic growth. We have that ahead of us, and we have the talent, we have the brands, and we have the space to grow. So I think that is, and of course, what Rafael said, earnings per share. I have it very clear for my board what has to be reduction of debt. We have it very clear too, and of course, return capital to shareholders. So those three topics I have it very clear, and that's going to be my focus in the next year to come. Okay, so thank you, and I pass the word to Albert.
Gracias, Armando. Well, thank you. I know most of you. We've been here many years together. And what I want to tell you is that we've been working 32 years in this company altogether since day one. And as you can see, we're trying to build a better company every day and everywhere and with every decision we take. And we've been hearing you very well about the corporate governance that we should have in a company. But just remember that this is a family company that was created 32 years ago. That family still owns about 40% of the company. So sometimes it's very complicated to follow the rules of corporate governance in terms of tenure of the members of the board. But what we have done in the last years, we have reinforced, and now in my new job, only being the chairman of the board, we have reinforced our corporate governance in the company. As you probably heard, we just invited 2 new women to our company. Our board is integrated by 12 members. 7 of them are independent, and 3 of them are women. So we are meeting most of the ESG corporate governance recommendations. We are also focused on the ESG in our board. We have very clear that ESG and our goals for 2030 have to be met. We just share it with the public, and I think we're going to make it happen. We're also clear about succession. I know this is a concern for most of the investors of the company. So we're focusing on making sure that the next CEO of the company will be an internal that comes from the company and is very well prepared. We are also focusing on making sure that everything that has to do with the future in terms of, and you just heard, people, everything that has to do with people, everything that has to do with supply chain, everything that has to do with technology, everything that has to do with operations, everything that has to do with our finance is very clear for our directors. And I think it was a great idea from Armando and the team to come all of them here and be in front of you guys to answer any kind of questions that you have. I think it's the first time we have so many directors in the company, and I think it shows you the intention that Alsea has, as always, to be open, to be clear, and to be in front of our shareholders, always trying to generate value. So the only thing I want to say, thank you. I'm going to leave this for question and answers. And in my new role as chairman of the board, you may be, or you can be sure that all our job in the board is to generate value for the shareholders, to take care of the company and our team members, and obviously to meet all the regulations in terms of corporate governance and ESG. So thank you very much, and I open for questions.
two questions. First, on HR, right, and all these plans to reduce turnover and increase benefits and compensation and so on and so forth. So how should we think about that together with all the payroll pressures we're seeing, especially in Mexico, minimum wage increase and increase of contribution to pension funds? So how should we think about that from a margin perspective, and how can you offset that from a gross margin perspective? And the second one is for Rafa. Rafa, just on your guidance, what kind of MXN average effects are you thinking for 2023?
Well, for 2023, I don't put for net profit and FX effect, but in these projections, I'm putting 20.6. It's an average for the whole year, 20 pesos and 60 cents.
Yes. And regarding your first question, it's through productivity. We are continuously reviewing the labor models that we have in the stores, and it's always a challenge making sure that we have the people where we have the peak hours, but not when we don't need them most. So it's always thinking about that. We always say that we should have less people, but better paid, menos gente mejor pagada, in order to make sure that labor versus sales is in a healthy position. And we are acknowledging, not only in Mexico, but in Latin America as well, all of these labor reforms. And but I would tell you, we're not worried about that, because I think that our business is going to be better sustained for the midterm and long term if we really have that compensation in a better place. So, I mean, you cannot sustain business with low wages or bad wages. So, but we are working in order at the same time to be very productive. Yes.
Joaquin, just to tell you, in that labor issue, all the technology that it comes with BK, with Starbucks, with Domino's, one of the main inbound technology that is going to have is the scheduling for all our partners. No, the efficiency in the scheduling that we will have, and we are working with Kronos, and we'll work with 2 other vendors in the US. That we already have it in the Burger King, in Starbucks since 2 years ago. That is giving us a precision of how we need and the hours we need to pay. So I think that is the efficiency that we'll see now. The problem is that sales are going that high that we need to how to get that demand. No? So we need to be careful of where to put the llave, to close the key, because sales are just still in a good horizon up. So be careful of that.
Yeah. And I would say, if I may, that another thing that is going to help us in terms of productivity is the new selling channels. Yes, when we talk about the delivery, for example, for our restaurants where we are delivering the food, you don't need the waiters there using the time with the customer. Or, for example, MOP, the solution that the Starbucks is bringing to order in advance, yes, and then to go and pick up. And or, for example, when I think about Burger King, is very fashionable in Europe, and I think that in Americas as well, the idea of not interacting with the people self-attending themselves in those digital kiosks. I mean, there are coming several channels that are softening the cost of labor to our stores.
Hello.
Hi.
Alvaro Garcia from BTG Pactual. 2 questions. The first one for Pablo. To what degree are you working with the brands themselves on data management? I'd love to hear some examples maybe of how you're working with brands on data. And 2, on capital allocation. Rafa, you mentioned the plan is to delever as fast as you can. You mentioned the 2 times target in 2 years, which is great to hear. But I was wondering maybe how the sort of strategic committee was thinking about M&A going forward. It's been a focal point for you guys over the last 15 years. I was wondering if there's less of that in conversations these days. Thank you.
Okay, so the first question, thanks Alvaro for asking. If I understood well, is to which extent are we working with
data,
brands and data, right?
With the Domino's and the Starbucks of
data,
the world.
Yeah. So so let me pick the 2 main chapters that I explained in the presentation and expand on those, and we take it out from there. So within Starbucks, as I shared today, Mexico got 35% sales penetration, lower percent on the total Alsea Starbucks. And the whole ambition is how do we get through the Starbucks digital solution on this rollout that we are working back to back globally with the Starbucks International on this rollout between LAC and Europe to get us from our current sales penetration to the aspiration of the 50% penetration in the coming years. So more specifically, what that means in terms of data itself. So when I talked about data, nailing that down on an example is now we are bringing all the Starbucks rewards on a customer lifetime value segmentation, which was the main pillar, the initial pillar, and getting that similar segmentation value approach across all the geographies. And by doing that, with the second pillar is we are start to be much more active on engaging those customers with personalized communication based on their value and their preferences. And clearly, the combination on enabling technology, but also evolving the way we do marketing, in the way using data in the way we explain, is going to accelerate us towards the horizon of the 50%, driving increased customer frequency through that engagement on the Starbucks chapter. I would say in Domino's, similar situation on, again, being consistent on the customer lifetime value. We shared in the video that in Domino's between Mexico, Spain, and Colombia, we've got around 5.5 million customers. There's still room to go and to grow. 42% digital sales penetration account, the horizon is around 60%. Even when we look into US, 70%. And similar chapter, we've got the customer data. We know where they do transact, what they do ask, but it is as important what they do not ask for. So if someone likes on the Domino's, usually a pepperoni, but it's important for them to know the rest of the specialty, or if there is additional offers, or if there is a product innovation, or if they prefer a different type of pizza or size of pizza on the weekends or the weekdays and different moments of the days. So that is the combined factor between using the data and personalization in a similar approach.
Okay. No, está preguntando de la data.
All those questions you are thinking of on your own as Alsea, or are you working alongside Domino's on
So the data in terms and the way we are working back to back with the Starbucks International and globally in Seattle, and with Domino's International and globally based in Ann Arbor. Okay, and the whole approach is we are truly looking to become the best in class with them, working back to back with them to make sure that we truly accelerate the best practices, learning and copycat very quickly with them. And once we get there, then we look to have further incremental value. But again, we need to reduce the gap that I mentioned between being 3 years delayed to become 3 months delayed. Okay.
Regarding M&A, as I said, we're very clear about the goals of the company. Armando and the team just presented the market holding capacity that we have, and as you can see, it's huge. So the board decided that the strategy is to focus on organic growth and saturate our market holding capacity in those markets and focus in the brands that are generating more return for us. So the company is not distracted at all in anything that has to do with M&A today.
Hi, good morning. Thanks for the presentation. Antonio Hernandez from Barclays. My question is regarding, well, for this year, and so far it looks like you're doing a great job and everything, consumer-wise, looks like there's a solid trend, and you provided some guidance. But in terms of pricing versus sales mix, how much do you think it will help, pricing versus sales mix this year, and where might you see, for example, more pushback from consumers in terms of passing through cost increases via price?
I mean, with a study that we're doing, and it's already finalized in Europe with a third party that is helping us in the price management evolution. And it's done already in Burger King, the whole country for Mexico. Our RBI did it with Simon Kucher, and we are knowing where is the elasticity, where we have more room and space to grow. No, we already saw that delivery pizza has a more complex elasticity. There we have already in the top. Now we are working with a big promotion in carry out, for example, for the pizza. So we know what is the price target, depends on the geography regarding price. But to tell you, the best thing is the traffic it's on. So we are, I think, 70% or 65% of the increase that I told you right now that we're running the first 12 weeks are by traffic. So that is the good news. I mean, probably we are doing a comparison. In Europe, there was Omicron in the first 8 weeks, and in Mexico, probably we were running the first 5 weeks with 70% of capacity in some cases. But now that we are open, it's just a matter of now traffic. And with this, we just launched a Frappuccino promotion just 4 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago in Starbucks. We never sold. We had a record week in Starbucks, crazy numbers in the week number 9, I think, number 8, number 9. So it's been traffic. Thanks to that, it's been traffic. So in same as Vips.
Yeah, and just to add on top of Armando, whenever we talk about pricing and revenue management, we are looking to maximize the value. So it's not only about increasing prices; it's to have the right price to maximize the sales and profit. So it might be the case on that journey that we are finding actual opportunities on reducing some prices in some locations, but to maximize sales and profit, and to get a better balance between orders and traffic, like Armando was saying, and overall sales. And what is starting in Spain is something that, like we described, we are looking to progressively roll out in the rest of Alsea markets. Okay.
Perfect. Thanks.
Thank you. Is the nearshoring, has it been relevant for the company? I mean, has you get the raw materials now from other regions? And have you had any supply chain problems that have been solved? And would it have any benefit on the costs?
Okay. I think the overall supply chain constraints around our countries have been fixed around 12 months ago. All the Navy carriers' costs have been dropping down dramatically. What we're seeing, the cost of fuel goes up, and that's impacting us. And the availability of the products have been very good. So today we cannot say that we have an impact in constraints about outs or not getting the amount of volume that we need for our brands.
What we're seeing is in the north part of Mexico, the increasing sales are better than I told you in the average. So I don't know. I mean, there's some money going on to the north region of the country. There's 4 or 5 states that we've seen the volumes, and also a little bit more complicated to get some labor there. So it's been the economy there is looking strong and bigger than we thought. We are right now. If you tell me where we open stores, if I tell you the 55 or 60 stores that we already have not Tomas in pipeline now, most of it is 60% on that region, 60% or 80% are Starbucks drive-thrus. No, because we are finding those volumes are just probably 30% higher than the one that we used in Mexico City. But and the type of sites and land that we're getting there, a lot cheaper than any other places in Mexico, Guadalajara or Monterrey. No? So I think that's good news for us.
And as it does make sense now to hedge the energy costs in Europe, in other raw materials, have you been able to increase the months of hedges for other raw materials as they have been more stabilized, or are they still very volatile? So you have to have short months of hedges.
Well, it depends on the raw materials. For example, cheese. We got a special deal with Leprino that it will allow us to buy in the springtime with the low cost. We have an excess of milk in the United States, and then have an excess of production in cheese. So every raw material is a little bit different. We have hedgings for around 24-25% of the total spend for the year. But we see in the third and fourth quarter better better numbers in coffee and wet, in oil,
Flour.
flour, and everything. It's we Unibari, Chicago Market Exchange. We follow those index, and we see that the trend is going down. So hopefully it will come.
I would like to get back to the question because I think it's important. In the past years, you've seen Alsea doing a lot of M&A, and there were some comments about Alsea buying growth and not necessarily getting the returns or the margins that we should. And we heard, and obviously after the COVID, we have analyzed our opportunities, and the board has decided that in our plan, you will see a less complicated company in terms of number of brands. We might, and you might see, rather than buying new businesses, we will be selling some of the brands that will not get the critical mass. And when for Alsea, critical mass is 1,000 stores. And because if we're going to build 200 stores per year, 250 stores per year, any brand that will not reach 100 stores, it might be small for us. So what you will see in Alsea is focusing on the big brands as they presented the brand. You saw it today. I mean, we are focusing on the big brands. We're focusing on growing those big brands. Why pay multiples of 4, 5, 8, 9 if we can open stores at CapEx? And we have so many opportunities to do that with great returns. And that was part of the strategy of buying Europe. So we had a lot more market capacity, especially with the brands that are giving us better returns. So really, you will see the company focusing on what you saw here, and the company will not be distracted in any acquisition. That will not be the brands that we have today. But even that, we are not looking today. I think we have to analyze our CapEx allocation better. We're spending about half of our EBITDA in CapEx every year or more than that. And we believe that at least half of that should be in organic growth, not necessarily so many maintenance. And obviously, dividends, it's an issue that we want to take care. Debt is an issue that we want to take care also. And I think the company has a very good cash flow to attend all of those at the same time. So I think that's what you guys are going to see. And also, the board has asked the administration that we want better margins. The company can generate better margins. And that's what we're aiming for. So I think you're going to see a change in the way the company will be operated from now on.
Hi, thank you very much for the time. Hector Maya from Scotiabank. I just want to better understand your mindset change, because as we have discussed it throughout the years, Alsea's one of the main drivers for the company has been M&A. And I remember that when we were in the middle of the pandemic, there were several discussions with you about probably selling a brand, selling assets across geographies. And I remember that you were very firmly believing in your path, in your growth, and in how you operated restaurants. And you said, hey, we're not going to do this. We know the market holding capacity. We know that there are many opportunities now with the pandemic to continue expanding because competitors are closing. So I just want to understand what was like the breaking point for you to say, all right, we're gonna hear what you're saying. We're going to stop going for M&A, probably focusing more on margins. And also understand, I mean, if you are hearing the market in that way, what is stopping Alsea in hearing the market in terms of corporate stores versus franchisees? Because that is also another way in which you could increase your margins. So want to understand that, and then I have another question. Thank you.
I don't think we have changed. If you remember, in the last 3 years, we have sold several brands. We sold CPK, we sold the operations of P.F. Chang's, and we closed some of those in Brazil. We sold the one in Argentina,
Colombia.
So we have been clear with the strategy in terms of taking all the small brands out of our portfolio. For example, when we bought Pips late in 2018, we closed Mama Mama, Guava Mama immediately. We sold also a Spanish brand that we have, Tapas y Cañas, La Vaca. So I don't think our strategy has changed. I do believe what has changed is that we found out, and as you saw today, that in markets like France, the opportunity is so big still. And in brands like Domino's and even in Burger King, the opportunity is so big that it's more profitable to focus on those brands rather to get distracted in another one, in other brands. And it's also true that through the pandemic, we saw that the global brands were a lot more resilient than the brands that we were operating locally. But we still have very good locally brands like Pips or Foster's or Pips in Spain that are performing incredibly well. But if you see you see 21 and 22, our best performance brands across all our geographies was Domino's and Starbucks. So I think this has reaffirmed our strategy rather than change our strategy. Also, in terms of franchising, the model is there. You saw how many stores of franchisee we're going to open. But remember, we don't have the rights to license or franchise the Starbucks brand in Latin America. We only have that in Europe and not necessarily in Spain either. Only in what we call Clover, which is France and Benelux, because it's the model we bought it with. But even with that, we will be buying some of those stores, and we're trying to have less franchisees in the France market. So we're giving them territories so we can grow to them. But we understand, and I agree with you 100% that franchising, it's a very good business, and we're trying to do that every time more for the company, but both at the same time, corporate stores and franchise. So it's not changed.
Got it. Thank you. And also in terms of the opportunities that you're describing among geographies and best practices, I mean, probably I want to understand if those opportunities have increased throughout the years, or what is enabling you right now to be able to go for those opportunities, particularly in Europe, as you were describing them. Thank you.
But I think the opportunity is more how we do it vertically. I'm not talking about opportunities of other brands. I'm talking how can we leverage what he's doing, for example, in Starbucks in the pricing the development issue. We're doing it vertically in the 11 or 12 countries that we operate. SDS, we're doing vertically completely. So all the strategic, commercial, human resources, supply chain, growth in stores, we are very aligned by brand. We didn't talk each other as much. Now the whole, we work together with Jose Luis. I do the same with Santiago in Cono Sur and with Francisco there. So we manage the whole Starbucks brand like one now. So that is going to, in data, for example, we're going to do the same. In Insight Analytics, we're doing the same. The same we're doing in Domino's. So that's giving us a lot of leverage now how to work. So that is what I call the best practices. How can we manage it around the world?
And also taking care of the scale they have today. We closed the negotiation with Coca-Cola and Pepsi all together. In the same.
And if I can add something, you say, okay, opportunities. We have always got opportunities. There are some opportunities that are, I would say, bigger today. One of them is everything connected with the delivery, technology, digital, CRM, loyalty. Those were opportunities several years ago. Today, those are big opportunities. And in some markets, huge opportunities because we are a little bit behind. Other opportunities, I would say, are the same. For example, in terms of innovation, product, etc. This is something that was very important in Europe before and is very important today. And from my point of view, the idea that was here explained that we want to focus in all brands are important, but some of them are more important, more profitable, and they have more space to grow than others. And to focus on those bigger opportunities in terms of growth, of number of stores, this is something that is helping us today more than before.
You have to, sorry to jump here. You have to remember that Alsea was buying market share. I mean, it's the market holding capacities. When we bought at the end of 2018 and early 2019, when we bought Europe, remember that we bought a Grupo Vips which had Starbucks in Spain and Portugal, but we also bought Starbucks in France and Benelux. And if you saw the growth, we have more than 1,000 stores to be built in those markets. Unfortunately, 20 and 21 happened what it happened, and we have not been able to really capitalize that opportunity. And that's exactly what we're doing today.
And the last one, I promise. There is this aggressiveness now with other players in Mexico going for loyalty. I'm talking about FEMSA with OXXO. Is there a way for you to partner with them to try to explore alternatives? I mean, you also have the relevant footprint in Europe. They also now have a footprint in Europe. So is there a way for us to think about a partnership there in loyalty?
No, they already went. We already are in talks with them. As you know, they are doing a small pilot test there in Monterrey of coffee, completely different what we are in their own brand. That's not our consumer, for sure. The Starbucks consumer is completely. We partner with the partners that really create value to our group. No, but no, I don't see that we partner with anybody in the Starbucks segment or in the Domino's. We can have somebody here in the States, you know, Delta is with Starbucks, no? And there's 2 other partners with Starbucks. But we don't see it to be doing something with FEMSA or something like that.
Yeah, and having said that, strategic alliances is a key pillar on our overall CRM strategy, like Armando was saying, but with the right partners to bring the right complementary value to our businesses. So clearly, the specific case that you asked a question, it is not necessarily that case that we are going on all further down, but there are many other cases that, like Armando was saying, Delta, how that translates on Aeromexico potentially, and to bring value for Starbucks Rewards are some other key strategic partnerships that we are exploring to bring more value to our customers. But it needs to be incremental, complementary value to our customers and brands as part of our CRM and loyalty strategy.
Yeah, because I was thinking about, I don't know, Burger King, Domino's Pizza. They already have 25 million users with OXXO Premia. So probably, I don't know if there's a subsegment there for Domino's or Burger King.
Let's start. I mean, that is a specific example that you did. It's right now start working.
Yeah,
they don't not. There's no place yet. I mean, giving results now, but we will. I mean, with Coke or Pepsi, whatever, we are a good partner with them. We will look at it. I mean, that makes sense.
Yeah, if that makes sense, we'll capture those opportunities. Again, they approach us. We had initial conversations. We have open dialogue, I would say, but it's not only that opportunity. There are many other opportunities on generating a broader coalition value, and we need to make sure that we also keep the right priorities with the right focus. Okay, because there are many opportunities. It's all about how we prioritize them and what we capture behind our core strategy. So again, we are in continued open dialogue with them, but there are some other opportunities that we are also looking, but just whilst keeping the focus on what we need to build in the short to the midterm to actually drive us into the next level. Thank you.
Thank you.
Sergio Matsumoto from Citi. For the logistics part of the business, what parts of those can you outsource to third parties, or conversely, what parts would you want to keep in-house when you look into the future and you see Alsea with more scale and perhaps more complexity and customers demanding higher service?
I will tell you just in the Sergio, gracias. Thank you. The logistics in just the only piece that we have logistics, the warehouse, the own logistics, manufacturer, like 5PL is in Mexico. The rest of the countries, as we know, 2 years ago, before in Colombia, we did a 5PL. We sold our distribution centers to Action Log. Now they are distributors. They do the logistics. But in the Domino's side, where we have Domino's, we do the manufacturing of the dough. No, we do produce the dough, and starting producing dough and doing it for 30 years, that was starting. So what about the sandwiches? We do build the sandwiches? Like I said, that's a super great advantage with big margins. With the sandwiches that we do in Spain, they get sold in Benelux, in Belgium, in all the store in France, with great quality, great innovation, R&D. So for us, doing right now, we would say that the big key that we didn't have it before, it's the manufacturing, the manufacture of cakes, salado, dulce. It's just great advantage to have that arm in Alsea now. I mean, I won't see it if I don't have it. I mean, it's just amazing. And in Mexico, the distribution, the lack of distributors there. We don't do the distribution for Burger King, for example. It's done by a third party, but there's only 2 or 3 players that does distribution. And I think doing it by ourselves, that makes us a great advantage. And with Miguel and the team having that productivity, I share some numbers of DPI US regarding the cost for them to distribute in the US versus the cost of us distributing in Mexico. And we are way better numbers than them. No? So I think as soon as we start, we see it, but I think we are in the right model as to do it. No?
And I think also to add to Armando says, in Europe, we have a very good operator, Conway. No, he is the best in class in Europe. We took a lot of best practices 3-4 years ago with the benchmark. Now we're beating them. And today we do benchmark locally with the top 2-3 food service logistics operators, and we can say that we are 35% less cost effective than them. We have comparable numbers, so definitely in Mexico we are a competitive advantage. Even though we went to a third party, we're going to lose those margins.
But yeah, and regarding Sergio, regarding manufacturing, we do believe it's a competitive advantage. We definitely believe that in our biggest brand, which is Starbucks, we have today the best croissant available. We're importing croissants from Europe, in Mexico, baking stores. I was in the store here yesterday in Washington watching the croissants, and believe me, our croissants are a lot better than the one that at least they are using now in the US, because we do bake in the store, and we really believe that with this strategy alliance that we have done with Europastry, we put our food program in Mexico in the next level without having to import it from Europe, which is what we're doing today. So I do believe that the capabilities of manufacturing, and that was one of the big changes that we did in France. As Armando said, today in France, the sandwiches are made in our factory in Spain that came when we bought Bips. And I just visit the factory, and the capabilities that we have in terms of manufacturing food for our food case, particularly in Starbucks, are a big competitive advantage to have consistency, quality, and price in so many stores, and give us capabilities also to grow at the pace that we are growing, specifically in that brand. So I think we should. I mean, we are restaurant operators, but if we need to be in the other part of the service and supply chain, I think we should be only what it makes sense. No?
Bob Ford, BofA Merrill. Kobe, in one of your slides, you referred to a fair income gap of 77% in Mexico, and I was just wondering if you could explain that, please. And then Pablo, how did the economics of the Starbucks and Domino's digital solutions compare with what you have in house? And what are the performance differentials of the Starbucks and Domino's platforms relative to Wow Place?
Excuse me, Bob, can you repeat the question, please?
So one of your slides, Kobe, it had a fair income gap of 77% in Mexico, and I didn't understand what that meant. I don't think we touched on it in the conversation.
With the fair income, yes.
Please.
What we do in Mexico is we take information from Coneval regarding what's the welfare line, the línea de bienestar. And that is an amount of money that is required for a family of 2 people that are actively working in order to support 2 more. Yeah, so that figure right now it's around 8,600 pesos. And the income of our people doesn't necessarily meet that amount. So 77% of Alsea workers in Mexico earn that, but we need to increase. And the goal that we have for this year is 83%, which we're talking about 1,600 more people, mainly from Domino's and Burger King, that we can take them to that level of income. So for us, it's a very important thing, as you can see. And basically the main challenge is located in Mexico. We are reviewing with our partners. Europe, the minimum wage meets that, but in Mexico, the minimum wage does not meet that. So that's why we have to continue designing the compensation scheme of the people in the operation with additional income, bonus, or special gratifications, etc., so that we can get to that line. Yeah, and the goal, of course, is having everybody on the fair income line.
Yeah, of course. Okay. Thank you. So I take the second part of your question. So there are like two chapters. You make a broader question, and then first chapter related to Starbucks, second chapter related to Domino's. So getting back to Starbucks, which are the key differentiator against our current situation? Okay, in terms of and how those economic works. So first, we don't have the last, let's say, the last high-end version, best-in-class integrated digital and technology solution for Starbucks today in Alsea. We don't have that. And examples of that is today Mexico got around 35% sales penetration, and Jose Luis was expecting and was referencing that into France, that we had around 8% a few months ago after implementing one of the bundles or models or stars for everyone, where people do not need to get money into their cards, but tied up to their credit cards, and that's more flexible and open. And that jumped from 8% to 16% in just a couple of months. So the whole point is having the common platform for all the markets, and with the latest technology, get us on a common next level versus our current situation. And again, I reference Mexico, which is local solution, France, that is getting the first bundle of the global solution. And when you get down into Argentina and Chile, again, a set of local solutions that we need to get into the global level. The second big difference is in the way we are approaching. We are engaging, and Alvaro made a question, we are engaging back to back with our global partners to truly become the best in class and not reinvent the wheel and build on top of their best practices. So that's a huge difference versus where we are today. And to close the chapter on Starbucks, to be even more specific, I presented on the slide, like, see 3 different main building blocks on the Starbucks, like the operational at the point of sale at the store. Our point of sale is not Symphony today, it's not Oracle today, it's not the best performance for many of the partners, and we are having opportunities to improve that and to improve the timing and performance, and to make sure that our partners truly dedicate their focus in front of our customers by having the best technology at the point of sale. And similar thing applies on what I mentioned on the app and the analytics and insights and how that relates to the overall CRM strategy. The economics, and that will apply also between Starbucks and Domino's. What I can say, and we did, it's been long negotiations to make sure that we do not only become the best in class, as I mentioned, on the scope that we are chasing with our partners, but it's been long negotiations with them to make sure that the economics are also competitive against other benchmarks that we've done. And even comparing if we have done that ourselves or with other alternatives. And that has taken us, I would say, quite a long time to make sure that we tackle the details. And similar case happens with Domino's, I would say. Today in Domino's, I presented the 45% corporate digital penetration in Mexico, 42% globally. We don't have the same e-commerce platform in Mexico today than in Spain, and different in Colombia. So 3 different e-commerce, 3 different platforms to some extent, different customer experience and not even being back to back to the global best-in-class practice. By moving to the US source code, we get into the latest best practice in terms of the user experience, and that is only the core. And then today, we don't have GPS. We don't have digital shoulder surfing. We don't have the best-in-class inventory management platform, which is world-class coming from US. And not even talk about potential innovations that I mentioned and signaled as advanced make line and to predict the rush hours, being a critical component on our service and our customer satisfaction and truly delivering in better times. And in both cases, once we are there, the road is only going to accelerate because, again, instead of being like 3 years delayed, we're getting back 3 months delayed. And the final piece I would say on economics is, again, we tend to think on economics, at least personally, I responded on cost, but it's also important to highlight that also in the economics is every customer that we've got the data. In the way we have been performing and looking to improve that better is 2 times or 3 times the frequency on a digital customer versus a non-digital customer. So when we look into improve value on our customers on a per customer basis, the opportunity is huge. And that is going to connect with organic growth and same-store sales. Okay. You're welcome.
Thank you for the time. Alejandro Fuchs from Itaú. 2 quick questions from my side. The first one is on the SAT. Wanted to know if there's any updates or where we are in the process with them. And the second one is on competitive dynamics in Mexico. It looks like the start of the year is very good, very solid. Could we say that the risk of trade down, maybe from QSR to more informal part of the street food maybe market, is that past us, or do you still see that as a risk maybe going forward? Thank you.
Contesto lo del SAT. Now, in terms of the SAT with the acquisition of Vips in Mexico, there's nothing new. No, in May last year we started with the litigation, and right now we are in the process. The attorneys told us that it's going to be, or it's going to take us around 2 more years to end this. No, but we are confident that we are going to have a positive resolution for us.
Oh, yeah, and the segment, I don't see it as, I mean, when we see that trends is very complicated that we will see a slowdown, no? Especially that when it comes right now, we measure sales and we're putting the promotions and we're doing the commercial things right in order not to find there's going to be a decline, you know, in the sales, no? So I think with the things that we have, exactly the new app that is coming the next 4 weeks for Domino's, and we're going to launch it, you know, in a big way to increase digital sales. That has to be in getting a better momentum, no? In the Vips, we are looking the opposite way, no? The trends are higher than we expect, no? And I think in the budget that we have for second quarter, we're gonna achieve it and in better results, because the first quarter budget that we have, we are up a good number now, no? So I don't see any good things that can be complicated for achieving the first semester at all. I mean, in terms of demand, no, we are ready for it, and I don't think it's gonna be different, right?
Jian Tao from Lazard. So you lay out the store opening plan till 2027 for Domino Pizza and Starbucks, I remember. Can you share the forecast framework and the key assumption behind it? How you get this conclusion for store opening?
So where to open, you mean?
No, how you get this number? What's the key assumption behind?
Okay, at the end we do a market holding capacity by region. Okay, we already know where are the white spots that we can open stores it can, in the Domino side is easier because at the end we have a delivery geographies. So at the end, where can we, there's white spots for making a delivery unit. So that's a lot easier. But on the other end, we have track or map with the whole regions in Starbucks, for example, where can we held as the Starbucks store, doing some economics in income, population, traffic. We map all the shopping centers where we map all the airports in this the case. Where can we map, and we already see where is going to be the capacity in the next 3 years. At the end, like I told you yesterday a little bit, everything has a return of investment target. If we doesn't, no matter what brand we open, the less is 25% EBITDA against investment. So we are targeting the 2 to 3 years now in Europe of a return of investment in France, and probably 3 or 4 in Starbucks, in Domino's. So I think we have it mapped the whole region and the whole countries. Where can we build more stores and how? And we put a tier, which one's first? Drive-throughs now, for example. I would say, where are we? We are not aiming to open stores in businesses, in corporate office, for example. We are not. We rather open in the drive-through segment that is getting quite double the sales than it used to be. So that's how we track it a little bit.
Just to follow up, when you look at the white space, are you considering the competition landscape as well?
Yeah.
i.e. the penetration rate of the competitors, whether that's...
And at the end, we are here with the people of Starbucks this week, my people of development, seeing the model that these guys use. We have another model that is taking care in Asia, and we have a model in Mexico. In Mexico, and the information that we have is a lower, we don't have as much information, real information. But we've been in that 20 years that we've been here with Starbucks, we've been really putting in place formulas and information with Euromonitor and with competition, a lot of things that we put in the mix in order to predict sales. I mean, that's the hardest or the only thing that we don't know here is the prediction of a sales unit that we will open. The rest, the rent, the cost, the fixed cost, everything, but those are prediction. Well, in the market holding, when the hitting rate that I call, we are very aligned and doing well there. So thank you. ¿Alguien más?
De conectados, ¿no hay preguntas?
¿Algo más?
I think we have a couple of questions online.
Okay.
We will now start the Q&A session. If you have a question, please press the question button in the browser. Please make sure that you are not in full screen mode to see the button. The first question is from Mr. Rodrigo Alcantara from UBS. Please go ahead.
Hi, good afternoon, team. Thanks for checking my question. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah, thanks. So the first one would be, I mean, on Starbucks and Domino's Pizza, you had done an amazing job. Congrats on that. Just curious to pick your brain on the latest thoughts on Vips Mexico. Over the last few years, we have seen you guys implemented initiatives to try to revamp the brand. At some point, we were in talks of the remodelings. Then we got the pandemic, and now I just got a bit lost on where do we stand for that brand. It's not part of the growth equation right now, but it's still like kind of 15% of your sales, if I'm not mistaken. So just curious about your thoughts on Vips, and also for Rafa. Just to complete the cash puzzle here, for cash balance puzzle for 2023, just curious if you, besides the CapEx and all the other expenses, you foresee any other meaningful outflow in terms of cash, perhaps at the working capital level. Suppliers in 2022, you receive an inflow of 2.3 billion. If perhaps we may see a reversal in 2023 on that line. just also curious here on the working capital. What do you, if you foresee any pressure here, Rafa? Those would be my questions. Thank you.
In terms of the free cash flow that we are projecting for the full year 2023, as I mentioned, the EBITDA can be around 10 billion pesos. Then we have the cost of all the bank credits and the cost of the commissions of the credit cards. They are close to 3.4 billion pesos. Then we have the taxes of around 1.3 billion pesos. So and working capital positive around 400 million pesos. So with all of this, we are going to be positive in terms of free cash flow, operational free cash flow of 200 million pesos. After that, as I mentioned, in terms of the capital allocation, we can buy back shares of around 500 and prepare or pay the amortizations in Mexico, 300. And if we can refinance the European bank credits, that will be only 300 million pesos that we're going to amortize in terms of the bank credits. So this will be the free cash flow for the year. At the end of last December, we end with 6 billion pesos in terms of cash. So after this amortization of the credits and the buybacks, we're going to be a negative free cash flow for around 700.
Okay, that's clear. Thank you.
And depending the refinance of the European credits.
Rodrigo, regarding BIPs, as I mentioned, the recovery because mobilization, of course, that brand was very effective mobilization, no? Especially we have a lot of restaurants based in community area, in areas with businesses. It's aggressive, especially downtowns in cities. But like I said, in traffic, just in the first 12 weeks, we are 80% up last year. It's only 20% that comes for ticket average. We did some come back to some promotions or some campaign in Mexico that is still on, that with some good price entries. That is called Los Clásicos.
Okay.
And that is working very well. I mean, we see, traffic right now, it's like I said, 10% up. Actually, the first 3 weeks of the year, we had better sales than any other weeks before of last year. So we are on track. We are on track in costs. We are on track in the labor management too. So I think the beef segment in Mexico, it will be back on track what it was before in 2019. No? Remodelings, yes, we are only 60% of our restaurants of our portfolio. It's in remodelations. We are doing around 30 remodelings or reimage this year in that brand. And as soon as we do a reimage, the sales go 15 to 20% up, and they have a payback of 25%, more or less. We are putting around $300,000, 5 to 6 million pesos in each store that we do reimage or remodel.
Yeah, just Rodrigo, on what Armando responded, and part of your question was related to which extent this is a priority for us. So again, to reemphasize, Vips is our brand, and it's clearly on the top priorities of our agenda. And clearly, there are clear symptoms that on very positive results, and we will keep on working on evolving the brand value proposition forward to make sure that we don't only get the recovery results that we are having, but those are consistent from the short term to the midterm. And there are some learnings that we are getting from Jose Luis was sharing the great results on Vips Spain, okay? And Vips Spain, 3 to 4 years ago, was in a similar, not the same, but similar situation on Vips Mexico a bit today. And we are making sure as a company that we capture those learnings across, and we are making sure as a company that strategy is reinforcing our BIPs strategy on the recovery to put BIPs where it deserves. But it's clearly on our top priority agenda. Okay.
That's clear. Thank you very much, Armando, Rafa. Thanks.
Thank you.
Yep.
Thank you very much for your question. Our next question is from Mauricio Santos from GBM Asset Management. Please go ahead.
Hi all, thanks for the presentation. I was just wondering, what makes more sense, what's more profitable between investing in stores or investing in digital? And how much room of maneuver do you have, considering that you have to honor your franchisee agreements? Thank you.
Invest in stores and
invest in digital. ¿Quieres que empiece?
Sí, sí.
Okay, so it's not one or the other. It's to understand which is the role that one and the other plays. So like the team and Armando was describing and Alberto was sharing, we are looking to the main origin of our growth is going to be same store sales and organic growth, and how we are evolving and are concentrated on our current sales performance. So digital plays a key role on that space, making sure that we capture more customers, that current customers become digital and become more frequent, and we increase the value of the sales on an omni-channel strategy that we presented. Obviously, there is a complementary role on the remaining 20 to 25% on the growth rate related to opening white spaces, on further consolidate our brands where we do operate, to make sure that also makes the growth of the brand presence on existing geographies, but with the right balance. And again, that connects with the multiple opportunities that we presented. Again, picking up on Jose Luis as an example in France. Yes, we've got opportunity to become more digital, but if we don't capture the opportunity on the white space on the stores in France, we are not going to get the brand into the next level as a brand overall presence consolidation. So that's what I would say.
If I can add, I would say saying the same is both, Mauricio. I mean, having more stores, filling those white spaces, and having at the same time the best technology. This is part of the same virtual cycle that help us grow in a more profitable way. So we need both of them.
And it stands with the value proposition is like that. This is the value proposition of this brand. And either you want to go to the store, that's fine. You want to make a line, that's fine. The barista wants to put your name, that's fine. But if you want to go digital, but MOP and just take it or go to delivery, I need to give you all the ways or the channels, or you can do delivery. I mean, that's up to the customer that wants to buy, the type of customer, the time of the day. You know, it depends what do you like and when you want it. But for us, we're gonna make it easier, and we have to be in our value proposition is where the client is, how he want it, and where he want it.
Mm-hmm. But you have made the exercise. Let's say the numbers you released were impressive, no? At least for both Domino's and each customer you managed to engage through the digital platform generated multiple times more revenue, no, compared to the customers that just. So it would seem to me that okay, you need to continue growing, no, that the white space as you mentioned, or there's capacity to growth, but isn't it more profitable to grow through the digital platform, lever up the install capacity you already have?
But at the end, we need to have the stores in order to supply the demand, no? And then in the stores, I went this morning to this Starbucks that it has here. You saw the demand, that peak demand in 30 minutes was pretty heavy, no? Pretty heavy. And if they didn't do the advancing in the MOP, the line will be up to the street. No? So that is a little bit the way of doing it now. You do MOP, the store is there, your product is ready, and just pass by, and we have time to put it in the order in the way that it arrives. So I think the digital is just part of the equation of an efficiency that we need to have and capture more and capture better and more customers all the time.
Yeah, but the proof of the focus of digital, you're right. The majority of the growth is going to come from same-store sales. To realize that, we need to become more digital and need to become more omnichannel. So that's a balance, and that's a fact that is consistent with our strategy. That's what I would say. Yeah.
Although it's not reflected on the capital budgeting, at least for this year, you're spending much more on stores compared to technology.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Okay, for sure.
For around 37% is going to be for the new openings. And in terms of IT projects and other projects that are not only digital, it's around 16%.
Yeah, but again, it's not only the absolute or the proportional numbers, but how one reinforces the other. So every new store that opens with a new technology will have a better return on investment because we are realizing the full potential on a new level on same-store sales. But what we are putting on investment on technology, just to be very clear, is what we fully need to realize the full potential on all of our footprint for all of our stores, for all the functionality that we presented, to look for the full potential opportunity. But we are also generating economies of scale behind that on this global approach.
So it's more like it increases return on investment. That's sort of how you okay.
Yeah,
how you land it. Okay.
Exactly. If we increase same-store sales on a per-store basis, and obviously the investment in technology compared to the capex in the stores, the right way to look at that is if we are making sure that we are covering the full potentially on the entire plans that we presented, the answer is yes, and those leverage on our investments. Okay.
Perfect. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much for your question. Our next question is from Mr. Jerónimo de Guzmán from Inca Investments. Please go ahead.
Hi, good morning. I just had a few just follow-up questions on some of the stuff you mentioned on the holding capacity and the opportunity for growth. Just wanted to understand what drives that higher estimate that you have for holding capacity when you look at Starbucks and Domino's versus what you see for Burger King. And then also when you talked about your unit growth plans, I was just curious about what drives kind of that decision of company operated versus sub-franchisee, and why that percentage is higher for, or yeah, is pretty high for Domino's in terms of how many you want to sub-franchise versus operate yourself.
Jerónimo, thank you for the question. It's just regarding how are the contracts of the rights that we have. No, in Burger King, for example, in Mexico, we don't own the master franchise. We are a sub-license that owns X territory that is more in the region of Mexico City, Monterrey, and Guadalajara, and some of the Bajío. So that is a little bit what we're explaining. There's a market holding. We own Chile and Argentina, the whole region owned by us in a master license. And in Spain, that we only have 55 restaurants of Burger King. And as you know, we don't have the rights. RBI Spain is the one that have the rights. So that's a limitation of growing regarding that brand, especially in Mexico and Spain. No, regarding, of course, the Domino's Pizza, we have it by region, and we already have a concentrate in Mexico. For example, we know very well we have half of the 45% of the portfolio is franchise. They do have regions, and we already set with franchisees to see where are they going to build stores in the next 5 years that are really part of the trade area where they are, in states or city. So that's how we come with this number, talking to them about how is going to be their plans for growing. That's how I came with that number.
But is there kind of like a decision in terms of like where does it make more sense for you and economics wise to sub-franchise these stores versus operating them yourself?
Oh, yeah. I think that the first one I will tell you is it makes sense with two things. So first of all, that is in our area, that a store we are not opening in single cities one store, or it doesn't make a critical mass for all, or and go to a city that we can open 4 or 5 stores. We don't go there. We let that city, it's been owned by a franchise, and then also we see the economics. If that store doesn't make 20,000, for do example, 20,000 euros a week or more, we don't operate that stores. We rather put it as a franchise unit, no? And that is a little bit the model that we are working first in an operational sense, that it makes sense for us to go to that store. Single stores in one city for us are we are not good at opening those kind of units, or a low volume stores. We are not the right partner to open that one, no?
Okay.
Yeah, I think that Jerónimo, in terms of Europe, Domino's is the same story. I mean, the smallest cities and towns usually are good places for the franchisees. They are usually from there. They know the place. They know the people around. So they are very successful in places where we would need more time to go. Or, for example, another example that Alberto was mentioning is France. Yes, the opportunity is huge. We have sub-franchisees there in France with Starbucks, because Starbucks allows us to do that in France. And what we do there, the strategy is to give them some territories and to push them to open stores there, open Starbucks stores there, while we are concentrating in other territories, and we together build faster and better growth.
Okay. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. And I guess the other question I had was within kind of these plans, you mentioned that you want to focus on the larger brands that can reach this critical mass like Starbucks and Domino's. But I just wanted to ask, just in a broader sense, kind of where does that leave a lot of these casual dining brands? You still have a very big portfolio of casual dining brands that don't have that critical mass. So kind of where do you stand on those, and what are your plans for those?
Fortunately, I will tell you that fortunately, those brands are accretive to the portfolio. I mean, they have better margins than the QSR business for us. If you saw the report that we did from last year, all the brands that we have in Mexico, 4 brands of casual dining, they are EBITDA store level with 21 to 25%. So that's a pretty amazing number and good number. The barriers for entry in that category is a little bit harder. So we are, like I said, we are building 70 or 20 stores, restaurants in the next year, but that's not going to be our focus. And we will see if we can leverage that from the portfolio. That will be an option. Yes, that will be an option. And we will see if that can be possible the next year. So.
Sorry, what do you mean by that last comment, that you could consider kind of selling these, or?
Yeah, I mean, in the near future, if there is someone that really wants to take that decision, we will look at it. But I think right now they are accretive to the portfolio. If we build a store of a restaurant, we ask them the same or more return of investment target. It's that is 25 to 30%. We fortunately do not have any of those brands, any contracts that we will lose the rights if we don't open X amount of stores. We are already in a good position of the stores that we have. And all those contracts are well signed in development situations. I mean, so we are very obviously open of talking with somebody if there is going to need. We are to be honest, in Chile, we have 2 PF Changs and we have 3 Chilis that are in the market. People already know that we are exiting. Our franchisors already know that we're exiting those markets. It's very open, and we're considering any options in the near future. No?
Okay. That makes a lot of sense. And yeah, I guess no rush is there. Very profitable as well. And in terms of margins, and my last question was just in terms of that guidance that implies basically 2023 versus 2022, maybe some slight expansion in margins. I wanted to see if there were any more details you could provide on that in terms of kind of how does this look by regions? Because my understanding is maybe Europe is still facing some of these pressures and maybe other markets are offsetting. So kind of how does that look when you look at the regions?
You compare margins by region, you will see that this first semester in Europe, because of the energy and part of the cost, the food cost, it's going to be less margin than the one that we had last year. Then LATAM will be positive in terms of margin, and Mexico, it's going to be almost flat. So, and you will see a better performance quarter by quarter, no? Because of the comparison that we will have with the margins that we have in Europe, because third quarter was pretty bad because of the cost of energy, and the fourth quarter also the energy it was higher than the cost of energy that we are projecting for this year. But we're going to be almost flat, no, a little bit higher than the EBITDA margin that we had last year for the full Alsea.
Sounds good. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you very much for your question. That was the last question. I will now hand over to Mr. Armando Torrado for final comments.
Okay, so thank you very much for, I hope you get a little bit more detail. We were probably more detailed than we should be, but having that group here, I think it's important. No, it's important. The last 2 or 3 times that we were here, we were talking more about external situations that was engaging our problems, no, in the pandemic and everything else, how to come back. And I think today we're talking just about the business, about how things look in the future, the opportunity that we have, the team that is leading this company, and where are we going to focus the best, and how we're going to make it happen for you. So thank you for being here. Thanks for investing in Alsea. And I just want to say thanks also to Salvador, because I think it's his last R&I. He's taking another opportunity. Salvador, thanks for all these times. Thanks for all these years. Gracias. He hope to see you. This is your house, like always.
Alsea would like to thank you for participating in Alsea Day 2023. You may now disconnect.